This podcast is presented by RMG, empowering your business with AI-powered global workforce. Imagine a world where every customer interaction becomes an opportunity to shine, where your business effortlessly outperforms competitors. At RMG, we make it possible. Our virtual assistant and contact center services empower your business not just for today, but throughout your transformation journey. Experience the RMG advantage today. Welcome to the Rainmakers podcast, where we dive into the stories of passionate professionals who dared to dream, persisted through the storm, and turned their visions into reality. In each episode, we'll present the narratives of modern-day rainmakers. Whether you're in corporate leadership, a seasoned entrepreneur, or just starting out, this podcast is your source of motivation, valuable insights, and the belief that chasing your dreams can indeed lead to sunny days.
But before we plunge into today's inspiring story, we would like to take a moment to mention our presenter, RMG, helping you shine by handling tasks that free up your time so you can focus on career and business growth, and what truly matters to you. More about them later in the show.
Welcome to the Rainmakers podcast. I'm your host, Rain Rose, here to share stories of those who inspire me and may inspire you too. This is the Rainmakers podcast. In a remarkable blend of dedication and visionary leadership, Prima Guipo 𝗟𝗪 stands out as a true rainmaker through her professional and philanthropic endeavors. She represents the core values of excellence in service, making significant contributions to the fields of education and community development. Prima co-founded the 𝗟𝗪𝗏𝗍𝒑 Library Network, providing 75,000 books to libraries across the Philippines and enriching the lives of countless students. She and her husband successfully operated Crafts and Baskets as entrepreneurs for 27 years and prioritized education, raising a daughter, Linda, a Wellesley alumna, and a son, Lee, who graduated with a dual degree from the Wharton School of Business and Systems Engineering at UPenn, an early employee of PayPal, and later became a co-founder of LinkedIn. Today, we have the privilege of hearing her incredible journey. Welcome, Prima Guipo 𝗟𝗪, also proud to call her my aunt. I'm excited.
Thank you. I am too.
And of course, excited to have this conversation with Roald, another rainmaker. He has a background as a corporate trainer in several top Fortune 500 companies in the BPO industry. He's also an author, a poet, and one of the business partners at RMG overseeing operations. Thanks, Roald.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Prima and Roald, let's make it rain. And Prima, can you share some memories from your childhood in the Philippines?
Boy, that's a long story, but we can start with five subjects. That's it. Okay. So I came from a big family, and we're surrounded with crafts, music, and bedtime stories. And so that shaped who I am today. And when we were growing up, we referred to our house as the Grand Station because our relatives would come and go. We live in near a seaport and an airport. So when some of our relatives and friends migrate from other islands in the Philippines, they usually stay with us for a day or two until they get jobs or offered to go somewhere. And usually some stays for a month. And so that's how I grew up. On the crafts, my father was a do-it-yourself guy, and he used to draft plans and weaving and basket making, carpentry, you name it. He used to own a construction company before World War II. But when the World War came, they lost all that, and they became part of the guerrilla movement. So growing up too, they tell us bedtime stories, and that's how I fell in love with storytelling. And I love writing, so that's how the books came about. And talk about Grand Central Station. Because we live in the city, most of our cousins who live in the farm where there's no schools, they would live with us for the school year. They go home on weekends. And I always grew up with like 15 people in our house. And in that, we learned great lessons on how to live together in relative harmony. I'm sure we bickered and all that. But up to this day, we still keep in touch on thanks to Messenger and Facebook.
Can relate to the storytelling, and Prima, because I feel that that's how I embraced the love for fiction and books. So
Rain shared that actually.
I
Rain
did.
told me about how much she loved the stories, and it looks like you have that as well in your genes too, because you like storytelling. And
Yeah.
I've read also your writing, so very compelling. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, it must run in the family because even my grandkids now, they write their own little stories also, which is good. That's where you start.
What influenced your decision to pursue a degree in economics with a minor in English at Notre Dame University?
I was just telling my husband that I wish I could tell you that I had a grand scheme to become an economist or something like that. Unfortunately, I don't have that. So my dream actually was to get a degree in foreign service and journalism. So the truth was, when I was a rising senior in Notre Dame University, the registrar evaluated my units and he said, "Oh, your economics units is enough to give you a major." So he decided for me. He said, "Go declare that as your major." And so, but for the English as a minor, that's always been my favorite subject in grade school. And through high school, I would write little stories for my friends. And I love to write, but journalism and foreign service were not offered in my little liberal college at that time. So the economics degree actually served me well in life when I became an entrepreneur, so I could relate to microeconomics and all that kind of thing. And in a way, both my dreams came true. I always consider myself in foreign service in a way, a Lola Nanny in a foreign land writing books. So that's how it came to be.
I actually love English too. I would say that's my favorite subject too, back in school. But I don't know why it was my favorite. Did you know why it was your favorite? Was it because you were good at it, or do you express better in English?
No, I don't think so, because I spoke 3 other dialects growing up. I didn't know I was speaking 3 dialects because there's 87 dialects in the Philippines, So my neighbors, you grow up, so you pick up what the neighbors are talking about, right? So, but when I went to school, I just like to read poems. And of course, my father's storytelling, he would tell us about the Greek mythology, Medusa, and all that. So you become curious and you wonder, okay, where can I read this book? And then when you're reading a book in English, you can pretend you're somewhere else. So maybe the motivation is there that, okay, I want to learn English because of that.
And I think Auntie Lolo Berto is also really, fluent in English, correct? Because of that, he would tell stories in English, and he would
Yes.
he would also mention his time in the U.S. I believe he was sent to San Francisco. So
Yes.
What motivated you to strive for academic excellence? Ultimately graduating summa cum laude.
One word, emulation. Both my parents were valedictorians of their classes in grade school and high school. They never mentioned nor brag about it before us, but every relative who comes to our house and visit, they shared all their achievements. And I also have a fierce competitive spirit because I'm number 6 in the hierarchy of 8 kids. And to be able to be noticed, you have to do something spectacular, right?
Yeah.
So, and I also found early on that you get rewards by getting good grades, So that's probably one of the best motivation I had. So, but I had a godmother that if I made good grades, she would give me pens and paper, and that's when you're 6-year-old, you're very happy. And at the end of the year, if you're valedictorian, she gives me a piece of cloth so I could take to a seamstress to have my dress made, that kind of thing.
That
Yeah.
is so cool.
Which is funny. I have to share this with you because my son Lee is also motivated by that, by award, or something. Well, my daughter texted me this morning. She said, "Mom, her oldest daughter, next is 16. She said, read this," and she said, and next said, "I have a daring proposition." She said, "If I get A's or plus A's," she said, "can I get something, like a record or something, So I said, "Yeah, if you tell her that she can do that, but just we have to cap it at $10 per, something."
That is so nice.
Yeah.
I really like that emulations. I believe it's really the people that we look up to or mold our future, right?
Yes.
That's why we have mentors, we have teachers, and I believe that's also the reason why I'm going to use you guys as an example, because you guys are really a good ambassador of education, right? You guys love education. So with Brown University, you were there as the faculty affairs coordinator, right? Can you tell us more about your experience there?
Yeah, let me offer a context before I go to Brown, okay?
Please. Yes.
After we closed our business, we were in business for 27 years. After we closed that, I went back to academia because that's where my heart lies, really. But I could not get a teaching job in the U.S. at that time. So at any rate, I worked there with the dean at the dean's office at the College of Nursing in University of South Florida. But when my first granddaughter was born, we moved north. We flew north instead of flying south like they say. We moved to Rhode Island, and that's where I got a job as a graduate admission coordinator, and then I became executive assistant to the associate dean, and then a faculty affairs administrator, all within 3 years. So I climbed the ladder so fast, but I enjoyed that challenge. It was an experience that I would look back on now and consider the pinnacle of my academic career. So to tell you about the scope of that job, as a faculty affairs coordinator, I was the first one. I pioneered that job. So I had to write my own job, basically, right? There was no template I could follow, so I documented my own processes. I worked directly with the Dean of Engineering, coordinating the hiring, appointment, review, evaluations, and promotions process at the School of Engineering. We had 80 regular faculty, including regular track and tenure track research, and 25 other adjunct faculty who has also postdocs and visitors. I coordinated all these functions with the Office of the President Faculty Affairs Office. I'm just like a representative from the School of Engineering, and there's a big office at the President's office that oversees us. So my office was actually responsible for collecting and storing faculty data within our School of Engineering for reporting and analysis. It was a big job, but the challenges was very good for me.
And it's Brown University.
Yeah, it's Brown.
Yeah.
I wish my dad was alive, because when we were growing up, they would say, "Oh, you have to go to Harvard. You have to go to Yale. You have to go to Princeton." There are the name-dropping things in the Philippines at that time.
Yeah.
And I said, "Wow, I made it to Brown. Maybe I'm not a student, but I'm a worker here." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Still on the prioritizing education subject, Auntie, let's jump to
Yeah, sure.
family. So how did you and Uncle prioritize education for your children, Linda and Lee?
It was how do you call this, a balancing act, because but both Al and I are educators. Your uncle has a master's degree in business degree from Rider University in New Jersey, not far from Roll. So, but anyway, we value education, of course, more than anything, and that was passed down from our parents. So we told our kids that their job as students is to get good grades and get accepted to the schools of their choice. And as the song goes, maybe you're familiar with this, Rain, we would beg, steal, and borrow to make that happen, right? Meaning you do everything that is necessary to make it happen. Fortunately, we don't have to go beg, steal, and borrow. But we made that conscious decision that the kids will have the education that they would like. And at that point, we paid more for school than our house mortgage, for instance. So that's one of the example I could tell you how we prioritize it.
Yeah. Was it really their choice though? Like for Linda to go to Wellesley and for Lee to go to UP?
Yes, of course. My choice for them was to try for Harvard, Princeton, for Yale, for Cornell, for Columbia.
Yeah.
But anyway, when they were in high school, I got a phone call from the principal, and she said, Linda told me she's gonna go on college search. You must be familiar with this role that kids in high school, they would go for college search, right? They would visit schools.
Yeah.
But anyway, the principal said, why don't I see in their list Harvard, Princeton, Yale? Why haven't I seen that? I said, well, I would like to, but my husband told me it has to be their choice. And that's actually how it happened. So when Linda, for instance, was looking for colleges, we went to 8 colleges the whole summer. That's all we did. We hopped from one school to another to check it out. So that's basically how. Did I answer your question on that one?
Yeah. What are the other choices aside from Wellesley for Linda, for instance?
Oh yeah, see, so we went from south. We went to Duke. Then we did go see Princeton, Swarthmore. We went to not Radcliffe, the one in New York. I forgot. It's a women's school before, but never mind. But then we went to Amherst. We went to. She didn't go see Brown, but then we went to Wellesley and Smith.
Oh wow!
So she chose all these big schools, but she chose it independently because we never had a hand on her decision, and we were so proud of her when she chose Wellesley, of course. And my mother's reaction was very telling, how she relates to all this experience. Right? She was living in the Philippines then, and when I told her about Linda accepted in Wellesley, she asked, "Is that a good school?" She hasn't heard of that. She only heard about Harvard, Princeton, and all
Ivy Leagues, yeah.
I said to her, well, Mrs. Hillary Clinton graduated from there. And my mom said, well, if the First Lady Hillary went there, I guess the school is okay, huh?
Yeah.
That was a good backstory about that.
How did you feel when Lee was accepted to Wharton at UPenn? Was this your first choice as well?
Reaction. Yeah, instant reaction. I were ecstatic for him. Then we breathed a sigh of big relief because Lee only applied to UPenn, one school. That's it.
Oh my gosh.
But he went for an early decision, which was binding at the time. I think it's still binding to this day. So if you are accepted, you must attend and withdraw all your other applications to other schools. So when he was accepted, we were so really happy for him because he knows what he wanted and he went for it. So when he was accepted, it was for the Jerome Fisher Program in Management and Technology, which they call MT at UPenn. Mm-hmm. So whoever gets there, I think in his cohort, there were only 33 students from all over the world that got in.
Oh, wow.
So
amazing.
They got a 4-year dual degree program at the University of Pennsylvania, like you said, and then he got economics degree from Wharton School, and I think systems engineering from the School of Engineering. When he showed me the UPenn brochure during his college search, I read, and I will read to you what the program is all about. The Jerome Fisher Program of Management and Technology aims to educate future leaders who can design, build technology-driven products and organizations, tackle global problems, and create a supportive environment. It was really like a perfect fit for him.
Yeah. Now, I've been meaning to ask this question. Can you share the story of how Lee went from being a co-founder of LinkedIn to becoming a venture capitalist? Or, sorry, let's start from the beginning. PayPal, LinkedIn. Can you tell us a story behind that?
Yeah. It's my favorite story, and I enjoy sharing it. With anyone who wants to listen, and of course with his permission. I always ask her permission what I put out there, although I always learn the last one to learn, because everything is about him is online.
Yeah.
So somebody said to me one day, "Oh, Prima, open Wikipedia and search Lee, he's there," or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, to answer your question, from a mother's standpoint, it was really a testament to Lee's unwavering determination and his focus on his goals, right? His career in LinkedIn actually happened with a chance encounter with Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is a alumnus of Wharton, and the spring of 2000, he came to the campus to deliver a pep talk to the graduating students a few months before graduation. That was 2002. Lee and his senior classmates were also invited to dine with Elon Musk. But Lee was the manager of the teaching assistants at UPenn Wharton at that time, and being preoccupied with them, he attended the dinner, but he was late. The only seat left was, guess who? Next to
Oh
Wow.
my God.
Elon Musk. So they engaged in conversation, and it hit it off with their shared passion for cars. And Lee is still
wow.
into cars to this day. So Mr. Musk asked Lee if he had a job already lined up, and when Lee answered in the negative, he said, "Send me your resume." So after that dinner, as soon as Lee got back to his dorm, he sent his resume right away. And while Elon Musk was flying going back to California, he must have responded to him, because Lee, when he woke up the next morning, had a job offer for what was called then X.com. X.com was already used by Elon Musk before, and they're supposed to be a one-stop, everything store online for all financial needs. That was their goal. And he worked for X.com for 2 years, Lee did. Then it merged with PayPal, and then PayPal was bought by eBay, and he jumped ship. And meanwhile, some of his friends from PayPal, one of them is Reid Hoffman, and many other names that if you Google them, you will find the founding members of LinkedIn on Wikipedia. And they decided to form a new startup. And here I go. I said, "Son, why are you leaving a job that can be set for life, right?" He said that eBay offered him like a gold handcuff. like I will do anything for you if you stay, kind of thing. So but he said,
was it
"I really like
PayPal or
start."
eBay, Auntie, the start of his career?
No, X.com became PayPal.
Oh, I
X.com,
see.
nobody heard of X.com, but that's the first online financial platform that Elon Musk created. And then he bought PayPal, so it became PayPal. And then PayPal was bought by eBay. And at that time, then Lee decided it's time to be a big fish in a small ocean rather than a small fish in a large ocean. So, yeah, and now he owns his own startup company, The Next View.
That's an amazing story. And can you tell us more about Lee being a VC, venture capitalist?
If you, for instance, have an idea and then you have a proposal and you have all the profile for your business and you know it's gonna really be a big hit, right? So you pitch that to them, and they also go to what they call startup conventions, where people like with those ideas go in there, and then the venture capitalists would go there, and then if they see that your company has promise, they would give you from 250 on up capital to a seed money. So, for example, Grove. Are you familiar with Grove?
No,
I think so.
Roll, do you remember Sweet Green in New York? I think I saw that on their
Yeah.
website. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's
Yeah.
I
So,
love that.
so if like that, if some of their, I think they have quite a few that went IPO already, and that's where they make their money is when they, when they become public.
nice.
And he used to say to me, "Mom, don't you wish I was a doctor?" I said, "Why?" When some people ask you what I do, you could just say, "Oh, he's a doctor." Then it stops there. You know what I mean?
We could definitely say that the economics degree is fully maximized, right? From you to Lee. And speaking of entrepreneurship, I want to pivot to your entrepreneurial journey. So, what inspired you and your husband Al to start Crafts and Baskets?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the handing down. I will address the handing down from generations. My father was entrepreneurial himself. My father harnessed the river of 𝗟𝗏, not far from our house, with the help of his brothers, and they created a hydraulic rice and
nice.
corn mill. So, but what he did was he got all his relatives to invest, and then at the end of the month, when they have their profits, he would distribute the dividends to them. That's how he started, and we were exposed to that when we were growing up. So with Lee, he probably was exposed up. Well, he accepted to us that, he admitted to us that because we were entrepreneurs and we were doing something we love, so he said he wanted to be like that someday. So what inspired us to do Crafts and Baskets? First and foremost, the indigenous people of Southern Philippines, because we worked with them for 2 years in the remote area in the Philippines. And we wanted to help provide a market for their products in the United States. So secondly, to do something we both are passionate about, and be our own boss and work at home with the children. That's probably what inspired and motivated us.
Also, the other thing that I'm thinking is you're with the person that you want to, work with, pretty much,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's easy. It's easy. Now, I know it's not always an easy route, right? Were there any challenges from running the business because it's been what, 27 years, right?
It was 27. Yeah, the duration was 27. It started in 1977, and it ran all the way to 2004. Yeah, 27 years.
Wow.
Most people ask me, was there a challenge working with your husband? And I would categorically say never, because when I met him, I was working as a secretary to the director of the university, and he needed help to do his classwork, so he hired me. He paid me actually to check his papers and record them and all that, and figure out the grades for the kids and all that. So we worked from that time, and we didn't get married until 5 years later. So we were friends and working together. So working together was not a challenge. But for us, let me tell you more about Crafts and Basket. It was born out of that desire to help the indigenous people called Tuboli. So the 𝗂𝗏𝗧 group in 1961, before the mission school was founded by the missionary priests, the illiteracy rate in that area of, I think, about 16,000 𝗂𝗏𝗧 people was 98%. 98%. There was no school. So when the Passionist priests arrived, the first thing they do is put up a school. And then there was marketing department, health department, and then promotions department to support the whole mission. So fast forward 50 years later.
We have the best virtual assistants. RMG's virtual assistants are AI-powered and trained with the latest technology stack to elevate your business. Delegate all mundane, repetitive functions that can free up your time, such as lead generation, outbound calling, data entry, social media marketing, and more. There are no startup fees and no annual contracts. Click the link below to get started.
The mayor now is at 𝗂𝗏𝗧, and that town runs on oiled wheels staffed by 𝗂𝗏𝗧s. And it's amazing. Challenges for us on the crafts and baskets is finding the market, because we didn't do our due diligence before we jump into it. Because at that time, 1975 to 77, my husband was teaching at the Indian reservation in the Sioux tribe in South Dakota. And this was like out in the boondocks. If you watch the old John Wayne movies, that's where we lived. You know, I thought we were going to be living in TP, but the government, the Bureau of Indian Reservation, provided us with a house. And there's 300 people in the town, you know, and the high school is mostly for the Sioux Indians. So we had no mall, we had no restaurants. The restaurant in town is a truck stop. We have one grocery store. And for big malls, we have to go to Kmart 180 miles away. That's how remote it was. So we save our money from that. And then his father was living in Florida, and one time I said, why don't we start a gift shop and sell the crafts of the 𝗂𝗏𝗧? And the challenges then was that this part of the marketing part of it. We broke even, but we didn't really make money out of it. But out of that, I spinned it into art shows. I handcrafted. You're too young to remember this. Macrame. Do you know what macrame is? Tying knots. It's the art of tying knots, and you make lamps, you make whatever, you know. So that's where I made my money the first 10 years. Then after that, 17 years, I did floral design.
And you go to trade shows, Auntie. I remember you sharing that, right?
Yes, we did. We did do trade shows, and we got towards the end, maybe the past 10 years of our business, we got into the top 10 arts and crafts festivals in the country. And you go there, just to give you an idea, one of them is called Yellow Daisy Festival in Atlanta, Georgia. And when you go there, they tell you, they admit you, it's by jury. You know, it's jury entrance. You have to qualify for a spot there. And you are told to prepare at least 20,000 worth of handcrafted stuff. You have to handcraft them all. You can't buy them pre-made. So you have to do that, and then for 4 days there'll be like 300,000 people coming to that art festival.
That's a lot.
Yeah, trade show.
I think I heard all of that.
From your mom?
No, I learned of that information from 𝗂𝘪𝘗, the first ever book that you sent me.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question. What inspired you to write your debut book, 𝗂𝘪𝘗?
My father's journal. I call my father a journalist because he writes journals a lot, you know, so I refer to him as a journalist. But in 1994, my father died in 1984, and my mom and him owned another house in Metro Manila. So we have a house in southern Philippines, just for the reference for our audience. So I grew up in the southernmost part of the Philippines. And when my mother and father retired, they invested some of their money to buy a place in Bulacan, just outside of Metro Manila. So my sister, who was teaching my two sisters was teaching at the international school what's where you live? Makati.
Oh.
And Makati. And my sister Susan was a chairman of economics in the University of South Santo Tomas, the oldest university in Asia. So anyway, when my father died, my sister, 10 years later in 1994, she found this whole box of my father's journal. And he wrote journals telling about their life during the war and the deprivation, the struggle for peace, the challenges for the resiliency of the human spirit. So the concept he interpreted into a painting on a piece of plywood, and it's called Peace and Abundance. And that's what he dreamed to have, peace and abundance. And luckily for him, before he died, he was able to come to the United States and was able to experience peace and abundance at the same time. So that's what inspired me to put it in writing.
I'll share the book rolled. I think I left it. I think it's in New York, but it's a nice read.
They can still find it on Amazon. It's out of circuit. I mean, we didn't. The publication is all gone, but people are selling it now 3 times more than I used to sell it, because it's a rare commodity.
The 𝗔𝘅𝗧 field, is that a metaphor?
Yes, it's very, very insightful. You got that. Yeah, very insightful, Rode. Yeah, my father.
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yes, it's a metaphor. Yes, it's a metaphor, and actually at the same time is his field. So in 1947, my father wanted to bring my father's brothers and sisters already went to this settlement called Lagao settlement. If you are a settler, you will be given 12 hectares of land. That's about 80 acres, I think, if my math is good, for free if you go there to settle. Just like the West, the settlers, the pioneers of the West, when they went to the Wyoming and all that, they were offered land, right? So my father got this piece of land, and for 3 months he was there, and this is all in his diary. For 3 months he wrote about how his life was so hard. He has to till the land that's virgin, it's never been touched before, so it was really hard work. And the farm, he got 12 hectares, and he was so lonely and all this type thing. And the metaphor is that from that peace and abundance that he was longing for, that field gave him that. So to this day, about 20 years ago, we rented that land to Dole, Philippines, and it gives my sisters and brothers an income, yearly income. So that's the abundance that we inherited from him, the land.
Nice.
But very good catch, Rode. Really.
It's a book in poetry.
Yeah, I should look. Did you publish it?
Yes.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I
have
have
thought
sent
I-
you some.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I didn't get yours. I got the book from Rain, the first book, but I haven't gotten the second book yet.
We'll send you one then.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
I really love literature because, like what you mentioned earlier, when you're reading, you're in a different dimension,
Yes.
right? But what would you like your readers to feel?
Well, I'd like them to feel what I feel, So I hope that, how when you read, for instance, I love Nancy Drew. and I also love Hardy Boys. When I read that book, I'm with them in my adventure, So, like Rain was saying, she read about our adventure in the arts and crafts, and that's what I want them to take, is that just keep writing, not even to publish, So just it's
To
good.
immortalize it.
Yeah.
And Prima, Roald actually has a upcoming children's books, right? It's really a series, Roald. I think 3 books all in one this year. So, and I think Prima has plans too to publish. Children's books.
I want to write, but it's harder to write children's books. But I want to write it for my grandkids.
Yeah.
I would like to talk to you about that and maybe collaborate or something.
At Sam & Co., we believe the joy of the best things. That's why we offer a wide selection of pet essentials and supplies. From treats, leashes, toys, and pet costumes, to almost everything. Sam & Co. is a one-stop shop for you and your pets. Enjoy free shipping on orders $49 or more. Shop Sam & Co. Pits now for wagging tails and more.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, what was it like to co-author several books? Because I think you also have, a couple of books that are currently in the works.
I think because I always think in the back of my mind that everyone has a story to tell. That mailman who delivers my mail, I'm sure he has a story to tell. I just can't get it out of his mind, right? So whenever somebody comes to me and say, hey, I want to write this book, would you mind editing, or would you mind writing the foreword or whatever, or can you help me make it relatable and all that? Because some of my friends who write books is so cerebral, everything
Cerebral,
here.
yeah.
So
And
when you read,
even 𝗑𝗓𝗏's field is, I would say, cerebral. There are a lot of highfalutin words in there. I was like, hold on, let me get my dictionary.
well, maybe when I do, and I didn't use Grammarly, by the way. I know ChatGPT anyway.
That was amazing.
Yeah. But so I resolve it when I write my memoir. It's gonna be more relatable.
Simple words. Yeah.
So,
Can I actually ask that question, Rain? We had this conversation with one of our good friends. What do you think about writing, let's say, any literary work that they would use tools like ChatGPT? What's your take on that?
For me, when you use ChatGPT,
You're not a writer.
yes, you're not a writer anymore. I don't mind using Grammarly because it corrects my syntax and it corrects my grammar, S and R, and all, the subject and the predicate type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind doing that because they don't change the concept of your writing. But you put ChatGPT, you read it, and they said, "This is a novel. That was not me."
This is not Prima.
It's kind of like the same chat
Yeah.
GPT words as well. The reason for that question is we have, like common acquaintances or friends that are, really putting their names out there as an author, but then you'll see
Writer.
Writer, and then you'll see the actual writing, and it's, evidently from Chat GPT. Unwavering. What other commonly used words? Rose?
I know. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious or something like that.
Yeah, I know. And then I think that was like a good analogy that you mentioned, Rold, as well. I think you told me about it really exposes the talented ones. What was that you said?
Yeah.
When these AI tools came out, it exposes those people who didn't really know, or their talent was limited because their talent was up to this point only, and then they let the tools elevate them.
Yeah.
But in reality, if you, let's say, a fan of the art, right, you always want to supersede the previous writings that you did.
Yeah.
And like what you mentioned, Prima, like you want your readers to feel what you feel. That is the ultimate goal of writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
ChatGPT is not going to do that.
No, it's like somebody, like you said, somebody else wrote your story, you know. So,
Yeah.
but I have fun when it first came out, and my girlfriend said, "Oh, you have to do this so that when you make recommendations, it's so easy, you know. When you make letters of recommendations, it does, but it doesn't tell you who the person is, you know.
Yeah.
So that
Yes.
you're trying to make a recommendations for."
Because you have like your own signature words too,
Style.
like you style and the words that you commonly use. And at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to 𝘠𝘪𝘀 field, and Prima, you're writing, you're writing really a lot of, cerebral
And
or
I didn't-
highfalutin
and I
words in
didn't-
there.
Yeah, and that was written in 2000, so I didn't use any Grammarly or anything. You know, so
That is amazing. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Love it.
Thank
Let's move to the, philanthropic efforts and community service. Can you tell us about the 𝗿𝗪𝗡𝗏 Library Network and its impact of, on the communities it serves?
Yeah, sure. Here again, I'm going to give you a background. When I was 4, my father was going to school. He didn't finish any college degree. So, but at that point, you finish at Iloilo School of Arts and Trade, for instance, or a normal school. Even just 10 years of studies, you can teach.
Yeah.
Because there were no many teachers in the Philippines at that time.
And that was
so
a
when I
different
was
time
4,
too,
my
Auntie,
father-
right? I think if you finish 6th grade, like you can already teach. Was that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because at that point you already know how to talk English some, and all that, and how to teach itself, So anyway, my father brought home a book, and up to this day I could picture when we do our collaboration role. I want you to help me write this book because it's in my head. I could see it. It's a counting book, 1 to 10, and the cover is a big tree, and there's squirrel and chipmunk and owl, and it indicates what number they're holding, right, from the tree. And I used to think, I wish I had more books, but that was the only book I owned until I earned my own money. Then I was buying all the other, like Nancy Drew and all that. But going back to the library, I said I wish there were libraries here too, because my uncle was in the U.S. Navy. He gifted my father a subscription to Reader's Digest, and I would read something about libraries in the U.S. They have tons of books. You can go there and bring it home and return it and get some more. I said, someday I'm going to do that. And in 2004, this friend of mine, he's dead now, but Brother Willie was the president of my alma mater. And he said, can you partner with me? He said, I'd like to start a children's library. And just like that, he made my dream come true. And thanks to Lee, of course, who gave me the
Who always match
resource.
donations.
I always hit him for donation. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he hasn't said no yet. But so then we started a library. The school had just started a big high school and elementary department, and we had almost like 2,000 square feet of space, and we actually filled that up with books.
Wow.
That up to this day, when they get for their apply for their accreditation, the PAAS, the Philippine Accreditation Society, whatever, would cite it as one of the best schools, and they get points for having a children's library. Since then, we had established 3 more libraries in Notre Dame schools, and we built our own library at the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 community, at the indigenous people. It's called the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Community Library and Culture Hub. So it's heartwarming.
Oh, wow.
I got a funny question. Does Lee possess more cars or books?
No, Auntie, I was sharing.
Equally, let's put it equally, maybe.
I shared with Roll that when I visited, stayed in your home, Uncle Al was showing us, like, he's not just showing us a parking garage, he's showing us a storage of cars, not just one location, like different.
Oh, he took
what
you,
is going on
you to
here?
the big garage. So he took you to the big garage?
Yeah, like I think 2 or 3 garages. Amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I would say I would say that's his passion now. It's an investment for him too, because he has the eye for the rare
Vintage.
and the vintage thing, and even his Porsches are all vintage. Come visit us, Road, when Lorraine comes. Please. Yes, because he has now a bigger.
Are there more storages?
That's why I ask about the books.
That was a good question, Ro.
That was a good question, by the way. Let me ask him tonight.
Yeah. So Lee,
Maybe
do you own
maybe-
do you own more books or cars or
cars.
Porsches?
Yeah, maybe he can get in your podcast someday.
Yay! No,
Oh, yeah.
we're what do you call that? We're trying to do that for
Set
the
it up.
TV show.
The TV show would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, what was the answer, Aunt Prima? More
I
cars or
think
more
equal.
books?
Equal.
I think,
No.
I think the answer will be on a TV show.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe by then it's more cars than books. I don't know.
I know.
Well, we can say that both are good investments.
Yes, they both are.
Yeah, and I think you posted that he just won, right? The racing in
Yes.
Germany.
He went to Italy. He was. This is.
Lake Como, Italy.
Yeah, Lake Como. Yeah,
Oh,
he
wow.
was. He had this car. I can't remember anymore, but the car is a Fiat, but the engine was Ferrari, and it was a prototype. It's the only one in the world
Wow.
that he has. So he was invited to this show, prestigious show in Lake Como. Only 50 cars were accepted from all over the world. So every time his car wins, it's like another notch for the car, so that it becomes more valuable.
Yes.
These cars have a bio this thick. When he buys it, how it started, and it has like its own profile, So very interesting industry, really.
Yeah.
And I wanna talk, since we're talking about fun stuff right now, collections.
Sure.
And we also talked about earlier, like handing the crown down to the next generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to ask this question: like, what has been the most fulfilling aspect of being a full-time Lola Nanny?
The best part is participating in the nurturing process, because all these kids, the oldest one is 16 now, and the second one is 11, and the youngest one is 8. And when Zoe was born, we moved here almost 9 months after she was born. And when Linda went back to work, she was with us all day until they went to school. Then Lexi was born. She was here too. After the maternity leave, she was here all day. And up to this day, they come here after classes. And when Summer was born, I was there to help take care of her from day one also. So that's 8 years, 11 years plus 16 years. That's how many years you spent with your grandchildren. And all my friends who are also grandparents at this time, they envy us because we're neighbors and they can be here every day with us, So that's really a very nice accomplishment to say that, it's a win-win situation for all. They emulate you, hopefully, and then they keep us young, So
Aunt
that's-
Prima, you're racing another Linda and Lee. I'm so excited.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. So they're all very good readers because we expose them to books. Their toys are more books than anything,
And
So when they were little.
and the parents are also like really investing in great education,
Yes,
right?
they do. Yeah. Yeah. They really are. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there again, it's called emulation, I guess.
So can you tell us about future projects and goals? So specifically the brother Eugene, 𝗂𝘗
Yeah. Yeah.
Footprints
So
I Left Behind. I saw that
yeah.
poster. Sorry.
Yeah, he was a principal in the high school in the Philippines. The Catholic schools, the boys are separated from the girls, but our school is one campus, but we just don't share the classroom. So I went to the girls department, and then he was the principal of the other department. And he used to call him Luis Gonzalez. You're too young for that, Rain, because he was a heartthrob of the actors in the Philippines during our time. And but he was a principal, and he came to the United States to train to be Marist Brothers. The Marist Brothers are teaching school, are teachers. That's their mission. And they were founded by Marcelin Champagnon, and he educated poor children of France. So the Marist Brothers go as missionaries to third world countries. They also have schools here in the U.S. But so anyway, he spent 60 years or more of his life in that position, and now he's 89 years old, and we wanted to capture his life. And the title of the book is Brother Eugene 𝗂𝘗 the footprints I left behind. So the most telling, the most compelling part of his story is that for 22 years he was educating the students in Notre Dame of Jolo in the southernmost part of the Philippines. This is probably 80% Muslims, and they're Catholic missionaries. So tells you that we can do something if we set aside our politics, religion, and all
Yes.
that. So that's coming out in June. On June 21, they will launch it in the Philippines.
I see. And he's also an educator in Notre Dame, correct?
Yes, yeah. We remember him most. I don't remember him teaching us so much as he was a coach. He likes to, he coached baseball, basketball, and volleyball. And he also was umpire for all those, especially for basketball. He would run back and forth, with his sutana, with his, how the religious people would wear like a cassock. So he would run back and forth on the court. And
Could you share new philanthropic initiatives or community service projects?
the one I was telling Rain was we were raising money for a school where I used to teach. So 52 years ago, I taught at this mission school in 𝗟𝗏𝗃 in the Philippines. This is the 𝗟𝗏𝗪 tribe again. So when I went home last August, the president of the school showed me the classroom where I used to teach. And here it was ready to fall down. The roof was leaking, the ceilings were falling apart, and it's not safe for the children. So the kinder to third grade, about 351 students, they moved them to a makeshift building somewhere, and it stood for a year empty. So I told the president, I said, how much? I said, send me a budget proposal. And when I saw it, I said, oh my goodness, 500,000 pesos. That's about $10,000, our thing. So, but I've been successful before with GoFundMe.
You always
So I started the
are.
GoFundMe. Yeah,
So
so
impressive.
I did. Yeah, we did. We were able to. So we're gonna do it phase 1 and phase 2, and the phase 1 is almost finished. We're just repainting, painting it. It's never been painted, but we want to protect the walls with paint. So after the classes ends in July, we're gonna start on the second one. But that project made me realize that I'm needed more there than here. So I resigned from some of my board membership because I want to dedicate the rest of my life for the 𝗔𝘂𝘁 initiatives. That's what I'm doing.
So I was like, I think she already answered my last question, but
Go ahead.
here it is anyway. So my last question is, what do you hope your legacy will be, both professionally and personally?
I was thinking that I would like to be remembered as a wife who did, first off, professionally, I want to be remembered that I did my utmost best in all my careers, that I spread goodwill in the workplace, and I also keep lasting friendships from those areas that I spent years in those careers. Personally, I want to be remembered as a wife who, a loving, ultimate partner to my husband, as a mother who passed my inherited values to my kids, and hopefully they will also pass it on to the next generations, like the appreciations for the value of education and family bonds. And as the nurturing Lola Nanny, which is grandmother, I took the time to play with my grandkids, fed them hundreds of lumpia, that's egg rolls 2-year-old, and baked the best chiffon cake in the world. If they remember me because of that, I'll be happy.
I'm sure they'll remember you more than that.
Thank you.
As a writer myself, I would like to get advice from you. So what would you advise, or what's the advice that you would give to other professionals, young professionals, aspiring writers looking to follow in your footsteps?
For aspiring writers, I'd like them to tell their own story, your parents' story, because we sometimes write about everything else that we enjoy, but we're only a blurb in that book, right? You only have that one paragraph about Lloyd and about Roald in that book. So just write it. You don't even have to publish it. But someday, maybe one of your niece, your son, your grandson, when you're not here anymore, would find it. And someone's compelling story, just keep writing it. And don't wait until a publisher picks up your story. Remember, only 1 or 2 gets to the cream of the crop. But there's good self-publishing. We've come a long way on that, and you can check Kickstarter for seed money, for instance, if you need it for a production of the book. So write because you enjoy writing, and keep your day job while you do until you New York Times bestseller list. That's my advice. To young professionals, I would love to leave them with a quote from my son's speech, which he delivered at the Wharton School 2000 graduation ceremony. Wherever your path leads you, make it a happy journey. That is the true measure of success. And that's Lee Howard writing it on June 21, 2000. That's basically it,
Prima Guipo 𝗟𝗪, a true rainmaker in academia, entrepreneurship, and philanthropy. Through her steadfast dedication and visionary leadership, she has profoundly impacted education and community development. Prima's commitment to giving back and uplifting others serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of philanthropy and education. Thank you, Aunt Prima, for sharing your story with us. May your legacy continue to inspire and empower others for generations to come.
Thank you for having me. Really, I enjoyed the visit with you and Roald.
If you enjoyed today's episode and found it valuable, please don't forget to download, subscribe, and share it with your friends and colleagues. Thank you all for being a part of the Rainmakers podcast. A reminder that rainmakers are not passive spectators of the rainfall. They are the architects of change. Until next time, keep making your own waves, inspiring others, and forging your own path to success. Every day is a chance to make it rain.